All right, y'all. I'm coming off vacation, also probably COVID. I'm in dire need of a shave and a retwist, but y'all are going to be nice because it's Black History Month, and we're trying to avoid collecting too many more L's than we have already in 6 days so far. 6 days. They're not playing with us this month. This one may not go down in the books as a good one. I kind of love that Black History Month now has this dual existence as like a month of like memes for Black Twitter, while also still having legit celebrations of Black history. And I still see a lot of people educating on, lesser known figures in Black history in my feeds. Feel free to show some of my Blackity Black videos to a high school class near you. Go on ahead and get them right early so they don't think that modern Black political thought starts and stops with Dr. Umar. When your daughter or niece has to do the Ain't I a Woman speech by Sojourner Truth, make sure they do the real speech that Sojourner Truth actually did, not that remixed version some Karen made for her 10 years later because she wanted Sojourner Truth to sound more like a slave, which is something you may have got if you watched my Swirl Economics video, which is the perfect video for a Black history function where you might have to bring your non-Black significant other. And you can watch it uncut and commercial free on my streaming service, Nebula. Let's pay some bills. If you're new here, let me introduce myself. I am FD Signifier, and I'm mostly a video essayist, which means that on my main channel, also called FD Signifier, you can find longer, more in-depth, and more produced videos on a variety of topics. But on this channel, Signified B-Sides, I provide lighter, more off-the-cuff, and pop culture-focused stuff. And just in case you still want more, I've also recently started a podcast, a Signified podcast to be precise. Yes, I am full force into the content creation world for 2024 and hopefully reaching new heights. And this is only possible in part because of the support of Nebula. Now, I could go on and just talk about how Nebula found me when I was a much smaller channel and provided support to help me grow into what I am today, but that's not why you should care. You should care about Nebula because if you like me and like my content or have interest in other informative, educational, and complex content here on YouTube, you're missing out if you haven't signed up to watch similar content on Nebula. I like to look at Nebula as its own thing, not specifically a safe haven from YouTube, but a place for creators to make their work the way we want to. It's a place where we're able to make content that sometimes will have a difficult time existing anywhere else. Social media platforms have back-end systems that can make it difficult to get videos to you, our audience, in an efficient fashion. There's systems that kill videos if there's the wrong type of profanity, or if you use a 5-second clip of a movie or song, or even if you get past all that, the recommendation system might cause you to miss that your favorite creator even uploaded something new in the first place. Conversely, Nebula is not algorithmically or AI driven, it's user driven. You have the whole of the site at your fingertips when you sign on. You find what you want to find as soon as you log on, and you'll see them in their more natural form without comment sections and ad breaks and anything like that. You'll also see Nebula original content that can't be seen anywhere else, such as videos from people like Lindsay Ellis, who's only posting on Nebula these days, or a series on wars in the Middle East from Real Life Lore, or Broy Deschanel's film analysis series, as well as things in development with myself, Jesse Gender, and others. You can also see that Tupac video everyone got mad at me about, although I was completely right about what I said. So if you want to be a part of creating the most interesting video platform on the internet, you can sign up for Nebula and check out all of our exclusive content by using my link, Signified B-Sides, and getting 40% off, or just $30 a year, or $2.50 a month. Or if you're feeling really generous, you can even get a lifetime subscription for a one-time payment of $300, which is a bigger payment up front, but a really good deal in the long run and a huge help for my channel. So click the link below or go to nebula.tv/Signified B-Sides right now. Thank you so much to Nebula for sponsoring this video, and now back to the video. Speaking of white women ruining something Black and beautiful, let's talk about this moment and its aftermath. Yes, that is one Taylor Swift swag surfing at the Kansas City Chiefs game a few weeks back, which of course received its fair share of jokes for how cringe it was. And this isn't just hatred of Taylor Swift for the sake of it. Please understand, I think the annoyance towards Taylor Swift is really overblown. Yes, she's a MacGuffin that they keep showing on TV every 5 minutes whenever Travis Kelce makes a catch, and it's cringe, but like half of football is cringe. It's not a big deal, and most of the people really mad about it are trucker hat and sunglasses and the car types. So, consider what side of history you're gonna be on if you're gonna agree with them. Just saying. But this doesn't excuse the fact that they look kind of awkward, and it has that energy, like, what I'm talking about? It's that same energy like when a white principal is dancing with her black students at a function, it's like, look, I'm hip, and she's doing the dance poorly. It probably looks like this. I'm just gonna do this for a little while. Yeah, look at this. Isn't this awful? Now imagine if I was white. Yeah. But even if it was done well, it would still be one of those damn we can't have nothing moments, which to be honest, we should have seen coming from a mile away. But this isn't as simple as cultural appropriation. In fact, I don't think that fits here. And overall, that phrase or term cultural appropriation I find to be overused and kind of inadequate because it kind of flattens so much into one category as to render it useless. Like there's a difference between white people taking something black or some other ethnicity and making it a white thing while also denigrating and stigmatizing those people for that same thing, which is what appropriation is. See, for example, the ways that white women often take black women's beauty aesthetics, hair, facial features, and how those things simultaneously are celebrated when they belong to white women and marginalized when they belong to black women. Ironically, right after this swag surfing moment, we had a perfect example of cultural appropriation when Taylor Swift's paramour Travis Kelce was proclaimed by the New York Times to have somehow invented the fade. This haircut that Travis Kelce has been rocking for the last 5 or 6 years has been dubbed by New York Times as the Travis Kelce, which is like perfect cultural appropriation. The fade is very much a black haircut and has been since the 80s. More explicitly, it has been a signifier of black cultural aesthetics since then, which thus means it's prone to being profiled and embodied with negative connotations of blackness and maleness. And yes, there are similarities between the fade and the classic military high and tight, but it's not the same. And please believe that Travis Kelce has not been rocking this haircut as a tribute to his love of the military. He's been rocking this haircut as a tribute for his love of black women, which was the case until Taylor Swift. But him just rocking that haircut, to me, is not specifically a bad thing in and of itself. There's a difference between cultural appropriation and cultural appreciation, general cultural exchange, like the plethora of white guys that rock that haircut to show black women that they date black women. It's the same thing that black men do with their haircuts. I've been talking about this for a while now. I hope you all get the joke. It is a thing. Shout out to Mr. and Mrs. Smith. That show is actually good. I can't believe I'm going to say this out loud, but cultural appreciation and exchange is kind of a great thing about this country. It's one of the few things, at least, I have enjoyed on numerous occasions, whether it's been really enjoying anime or really getting into Indian food or the dope ass haka dance. If I could I would trade like some magical Negro nonsense if I could just do one haka dance and not be side-eyed. I know I'm not the only one. That shit is dope. And I don't think there's anything wrong with a lot of this, because in these situations, at the end of the day, it doesn't get lost who the originator of that particular thing is and was. There's no point in time where a bunch of Negroes can get together and do a haka dance and it never not be known that we took that from Polynesian and Samoan people, right? But it becomes appropriation when people with systemic authority can proclaim a thing no longer to belong to the population that invented it, AKA the New York Times proclaiming the fade haircut to be the Travis Kelce. Because this does nothing to engage with the fact that black men have always had that hairstyle and have always suffered the consequences of having that hairstyle. And that's why, although Taylor Swift's swag surfing is going to make that much less appealing to do at, your local cookout function, it's still not a huge thing to me. And we probably should have known that pretty early on as swag surfing became popular. Swag surfing comes from the song Swag Surfing? Yeah, Swag Surfing from Fly or FLY or Fast Life Youngsters, and it was a huge hit in the late 2000s coming out of Atlanta during hip hop's ringtone era, which is like post the explosion of Soulja Boy, where tons of relatively talented, sometimes not all that talented rap acts out of Atlanta and elsewhere were just looking for that one really catchy song that you could dance to. It's basically the pre-modern version of a TikTok trending sound. The ringtone era was interesting. Again, say it with me, that's a subject for another video. What made swag surfing special was that although other trendy songs of the time had their own dance, this dance was very communal. It wasn't just 2 or 3 people in really long t-shirts doing a dance. It was entire crowds, maybe even stadiums, small stadiums, but stadiums. And since it was a song out of Atlanta, you can best bet those small stadiums house AUC football and basketball games. things. The AUC, or Atlanta University Center, is to me inarguably one of the most important centers for Black pop culture in existence today. It is a group of 4 prominent historically Black colleges: Morris Brown, which has fell on hard times, but is still hanging on, the legendary Morehouse and Spelman, and to me, the most important one to Black pop culture, my alma mater, Clark Atlanta University. These 4 colleges are a bastion of pop culture and trends, to the point where literally for a long time, record labels would send new artists and acts to the AUC as like an early tryout ground to see if they were worthy of wider notoriety and a bigger push. In just my 4 years at Clark in the early 2000s, we constantly had concerts from developmental and significant future legend hip hop artists because they wanted to test them out in the AUC. We had a pre-college dropout Kanye West. We had Lil Wayne before he became Lil Wayne. Ludacris. T.I. used to hang out here and try to holler at girls. It was a unique and interesting time. And so after my time at Clark was over, we still had that happening, and this is where swag surfing became a thing. But not just the song, but the actual dance, which is what Taylor Swift was trying to do here. The dance quickly escaped the AUC and spread across many an HBCU until it became an HBCU thing. The swag surf was something that was popularized in HBCUs and only started to emerge in Black pop culture in the last 4 or 5 years, even though the song's like 15 years old. But almost as soon as it escaped, but here's the thing. I knew we were cooked well before any white person joined in on the swag surf or was pulled in by their overzealous Black friends. I knew we were cooked when an episode of Grownish from some years back, Grownish being the sometimes interesting but mostly mid and forgettable spinoff of Blackish, they had an episode where their suspiciously diverse, predominantly white state college in Los Angeles had an HBCU Day episode, which featured them swag surfing. And once I saw it on ABC or NBC or whatever television, I knew it was over. A challenge that I've been constantly engaging in myself is this conversation around commodifying Black culture and the unintended consequences of it. As one of my mentors, Dr. Jerry Ball, puts it on Black Power Media, Blackness is now everywhere and everyone wants a part of it and they want to consume it. And you would think this is giving us a rare opportunity to spread certain messages and ideas about Black issues, but because of how widely these messages are being consumed and framed, some of these messages end up being much more insidious and harmful, and it's much more difficult to critique and notice what's happening. Swag surfing isn't as bad as, say, a whole 48 bar verse about Black capitalism from Jay-Z about being a billionaire, right? But these two things are somewhat connected. My hypothesis has always been that the Obama presidency era changed the way Black art worked in America forever. We had this 8-year-long block party to commemorate our victory, and everyone celebrated it, and people celebrated with us without fully considering, what were we celebrating for? Like, don't feel bad, I got caught up too, it is what it is. And in that time, we learned how to sell Blackness and found a very wide, accepting, and thirsty audience for that Black art. But we didn't think about the unintended consequences of doing that. We are no longer the ideal audience for our own content. Thus, we do not control the market. There was a time where like you would have Living Single and Martin and other TV shows that were explicitly written and catered to Black interests and Black worldviews. And now we have like Insecure in Atlanta, and those are still great shows, but they don't quite hit the same, do they? Because see, the thing about Black art now is that not only do we not control it, we also don't have like an end user license agreement. Like this isn't Roblox where we can let people make stuff out of our stuff, but we still control the product and receive all the rewards. Once we come up with a thing and decide we're gonna sell it as Black art, we don't control what happens next. We don't control what happens afterwards. So we have to be prepared for Taylor Swift swag surfing at the Chiefs game. Now, to my white folks watching, I want to make something clear. The issue isn't whether or not white people can or should participate in Black culture and exchange and enjoy the art that we produce. The issue is that so many white people gladly partake of Black art and culture, but regularly resist engaging in or even just acknowledging the issues that face Black people in this country. White women are all through the Beyonce Renaissance tour footage, but 53% of them still voted for Donald Trump in 2016 and 2020. And considering that so much black art is overtly about our issues and liberation, including Beyonce's last album, it's pretty frustrating to see that shit. At the same time, we're talking about swag surfing, not fight the power by Public Enemy. And I think there's something to not allowing certain things to get us riled up when in the grand scheme of things, they're pretty minuscule. We can't turn every moment of cultural gentrification into a revolutionary front. I mean, even when you hear it from the original group members, it shows that they're more interested in getting their check than any type of building of a black cultural aesthetic.
All platforms is up 700%. Our YouTube numbers done went up. We done gained 20,000 subscribers in like 2 weeks, man. So everything is up. Shout out to them Swifties.
Yeah, that Swift Surf.
I'm telling you, the Swift and Surf, she got a rap though.
And then look, she can bring us out at the concert too, man. You know what I'm saying? On tour, like.
There's a greater conversation about how all of this is emblematic of the folly of black capitalism, but I'm writing this again coming off of possibly COVID and a mini vacation, so we'll figure that out some other time. Just know this: if you're into gatekeeping, which understand that once you make a TikTok out of a thing, you've opened the gates. You've sought to commodify the culture because we don't own those platforms. We don't even understand how those algorithms work, not since we had Black Planet, and I'm not sure that was a good thing either. So either make something cool and dope with the understanding that your goal is sharing it with the world and getting as much out of it as you can, or make something just for the culture, but really for the culture, expecting to keep it very internal. Swag surfing is dead because it was the former, just like bling bling and woke and yat, which I didn't even know what that was, to be honest with you. But you know, maybe I'm out of touch. But we've been doing this for hundreds of years and created millions of other things for generations. And that's okay, because I believe in us. Like, I know someone else is gonna come up with something equally dope and new by this summer if it's not here already. So don't stress out about this. Keep it pushing. Enjoy the rest of Black History Month. I'm Empty Signifier, and this has been Light Work.